One-state solution, two-state solution, final solution? Let me give you 3 reasons to support a Jewish one-state solution. Hello, I'm Olivier Melnick with Shalom and Messiah. Israel is currently in a 7-front existential war with no end in sight. The global community continues to push for a 2-state solution. Jordan, known initially as Transjordan, was the other state where Palestinian Arabs belong. It could be argued that Jordan is Palestine. Incidentally, their respective flags are nearly identical. When it comes to Israel's right to exist, on that small sliver of Middle East real estate the size of New Jersey, people get really creative, very creative. Land is being shared, some has been given away, some taken back, a never-ending cycle continues to punctuate life in that region. The whole world seems to know better than Israel what is good for Israel. So the Jewish state is being forced into a game of geographical musical chairs. But every round they go, another chair is taken away. This lethal exercise is, of course, done in the name of peace in the Middle East. We know better. Real peace will only return when Yeshua Sar Shalom, Jesus the Prince of Peace, returns. Additionally, some people who claim to be proponents of a 2-state solution are really proponents of a Judenrein, or cleanse of all Jews, 1-state solution. Still, they're hiding their agenda until the time comes when they can implement it. I wouldn't necessarily be against a 2-state solution if both sides were equally interested in peace and coexistence. But they're not. And for anybody to say otherwise is ludicrous. The Palestinian side is not interested in peace. They're open to a 2-state solution until they can infiltrate, invade, or decimate the other side. As they tried on October 7, 2023, the goal is a Jew-free 1-state solution, unfortunately. The recent anti-Semitic awakening on U.S. university campuses and other venues shouting, "From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free," is a perfect example of the agenda at hand. They claim the need for 2 states, but they want only 1 state with no Jews. Their idea of a 1-state solution is a modern rendition of the Nazi final solution to the Jewish question. So the only viable option we are left with seems to be a Jewish 1-state solution. Now, I run the risk of sounding racist or promoting apartheid, but when you think of it, there are at least 3 good reasons why a Jewish 1-state solution is currently the best, if not only, option for the Middle East, including the Palestinians. Number 1, biblically speaking, Israel is much more than the modern nation that was reborn on May 14, 1948. Now, I'm well aware that not everybody believes in God. Still, even those who have a limited belief and or understanding of the God of the Bible will have a hard time dismissing the hard evidence for the existence of the biblical land of Israel geographically, historically, and archaeologically. Artifacts upon artifacts, not to mention ruins of buildings, keep getting discovered and validate a Jewish homeland, people, and customs predating the modern state of Israel by several millennia. But Scripture alone will show us that God gave the land of Canaan to the children of Israel. Yet he continues to care very much for that small piece of real estate, as we read in Deuteronomy 11:12, and I quote, "A land for which the Lord your God cares. The eyes of the Lord your God are always on it from the beginning even to the end of the year." Close quote. This land that God gave to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, according to Genesis 17, 7 through 8, 25, 5 through 6, 26, 3, and 28, 3 through 4, originally belonged to God as stated in Leviticus 25:23. The land, moreover, shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine, for you are but aliens and sojourners with me. Close quote. Incidentally, the boundaries delineated in Genesis 15:17 through 21 have never been attained and await a final fulfillment during the messianic millennial reign of Yeshua from Jerusalem at his return on earth. Bigger boundaries than what we have today, by quite a bit. These are just a few of the myriad of verses about Israel in the Tanakh. None of them about Palestine, by the way. I cannot help but think that those who take offense at Israel's biblical right to the land and its existence are arguing with God and his divine decrees. 2. Geopolitically speaking, Israel cannot survive unless it is safe for the Jewish people. The security fence or wall that has been erected for a while now continues to be a thorn in the flesh of the Palestinian Authority. Israel is constantly accused of being an apartheid state, being compared to South Africa. I strongly condemn apartheid, racial segregation, and any form of racism. But Israel's security fence is not and was not based on racial discrimination, but built for the security of her citizens. Since its inception, the fence and wall has helped reduce terrorist attack by at least 30%. It's probably more than that. The level of hatred and animosity displayed by Israel's enemies since 1948, and particularly in the last few years, should suffice to prove that any unilateral decision for a two-state solution is simply a one-state solution waiting to happen. Not to mention the other groups playing second fiddle to Hamas and Hezbollah. Terrorism will not cease under a two-state solution, but instead spread further as Palestinians would be given access to more land within Israel. This is a concept similar to saying that World War II could have ended sooner if only the Jews would have gotten along with the Nazis. That's crazy. Israel simply cannot afford to let the enemy infiltrate its land and kill its people. It's a matter of life and death. Period. And number 3, demographically speaking, Israel is currently faced with a significant challenge. Under the law of return, enacted in 1950 as a gateway to safety in the aftermath of the Holocaust and other acts of antisemitism in Europe, every Jew in the world has the right to come settle in Israel and become a citizen, as long as they can prove they're Jewish. This is what is meant when we say diaspora Jews are making aliyah. In and of itself, this has never been a great challenge. However, recent events have shown an exponential growth in global anti-Semitism. Many Jews have now decided to move to Israel. The trend is growing parallel with the resurgence of Jew hatred. This is a modern exodus happening in front of our very eyes. And also, I believe, a fulfillment of prophecy regarding the regathering of the Jews in the land in the end times. Ezekiel 36:24 through 32. If the world is closing its door to the Jews, where are we to go? For that very reason, Israel must remain safe and open to diaspora Jews pouring in. This would be greatly impaired by an increased Palestinian presence. To be sure, I'm not suggesting that all Palestinians be expelled from Israel. No. Yet I do not believe that opening the country for a two-state solution is a viable solution. Before I am accused of pointing to a problem without offering a solution, I would like to remind today's Palestinians, as I mentioned earlier. By the way, Palestinians, a term that is a misnomer. That's for another day. I would like to remind the Palestinians that they had their own land a few decades ago. It was called Transjordan, known today as Jordan. Outside of God's promise to never allow Israel to disappear, Jeremiah 31:35-37, the survival of Israel remains a very delicate balancing act of diplomacy and national security, but an act much easier to balance without terrorism in the equation. Biblically speaking, Israel was granted to the Jewish people by God. Geopolitically speaking, Israel must secure its borders. And demographically speaking, Israel needs the space for the 21st century ongoing exodus and return to the land. This can all happen if the concept of a Jewish one-state solution dictates Israel's future, a state where Arabs have always been welcome to live in peace. Ask yourself the question, would any Jew survive under a Palestinian one-state solution? Thank you for watching, and be blessed.